So if you don't know me, my name is Monica Smit. I'm from Australia. I started an organisation called Reignite Democracy Australia in August 2020. I had no idea what I was doing. I've never run an organisation. I've never been an activist. I didn't care about politics, all that sort of stuff. But I believe in God, and I think I was called to do something. I guess it happened. So I just started a Facebook page. I did an online event, and within 2 weeks, I was the poster girl for the anti-lockdown movement in Australia. It happened. I didn't plan it, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. When I really annoyed the government was, these narcissists, the thing they hate the most is being mocked. Okay, so if you can mock them, do it as much as you can. So I drove around in a bus that had our Premier's face on it, and he was doing this. Yeah. So he looks like an idiot, and I was driving around in this bus, and then so the police were stopping us every 5 minutes, and it was just hilarious because every time they try to harass you, they actually give you a story. So it actually goes against them. And people got to see how ridiculous they were. They were drug testing, alcohol testing the driver. And the funny thing is we were in lockdown, right? So I wasn't supposed to be leaving my house or whatever. But I was a journalist. And guess what? Anyone with a phone can be a journalist, just so you know. So I was using that as a loophole. And my bus, which was a massive passenger bus, one of the big ones, my bus was my transport. What can you do about that? So for the first year or so, I was kind of playing it pretty cool. I found loopholes in the system, which is being too obedient looking back now. But the loopholes was that because I was a journalist, I would put a protest poster up on my social media, and I would say, I'm going to report on this protest. That was me promoting the protest, obviously. They knew it, I knew it. Anyway, I got sick of playing the game, so I just started promoting protests and didn't care. And then I got arrested and charged with incitement. So incitement, if you don't know, is like encouraging someone else to commit a crime, and then you're culpable of that crime. It's supposed to be used for things like murders and armed robberies and things like that. But in this case, they found a loophole in the criminal system to use it for someone who's inciting someone else to break a COVID restriction, which is only a fine, by the way, but somehow they made it a criminal offence for someone to actually encourage someone to break COVID fines. So they charged me with 2 cases of incitements, 2 social media posts for incitement. That's in itself bad, obviously, but the actual ploy that they were using was people that have a big platform or a big voice that were annoying the narcissists. They were giving them incitement charges, and then they were giving them bail conditions that would silence them. And this was the trick. It didn't matter whether or not they got the charge across the line at the end of the day. All that mattered is that they could stop that person in that moment. So I had 12 bail conditions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the really ridiculous ones was I had to be home from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. I was on bail for 2 years. But the worst draconian ones were they wanted me to delete everything on my website that was against the COVID restrictions. Everything was against the COVID restrictions. And at the time, what we were doing was obviously important because we were getting 50,000 views a week. So they really wanted to shut down that website. I had 8 staff as well. And they wanted me to not speak against the COVID restrictions. That was in the bail conditions. And this was signed off by magistrates. How embarrassing. And it wasn't, you can't convince people to break the restrictions. You can't even speak in opposition to the COVID restrictions. So I said no to signing the bail conditions. So that's why I went to prison for 22 days in solitary confinement because I didn't want to get a PCR test. And we appealed the bail conditions and we won. And so because of that, they were no longer able to do that to other people. So it was absolutely worth every single day in prison. Yeah. But I also want to let you know that I'm not more special than anybody. The difference is that I have no children. I didn't have a job that I was going to lose. I didn't lose any friends. My family are extremely supportive, and I have God on my side. So I was the right person at the right time. Yes, I could have said no to the calling, but the point is that I was blessed to be able to make a public a confirmation of my convictions and to do that for people. But so many of you have done courageous things in your own lives and none of us know anything about it. So you are just as courageous as me. When you come up against these small barriers in your life, you have a choice whether to take the calling or to not. I chose to take the calling. Yes, it was the right decision, but you can all do that as well. So I was very blessed to do that. Now, 3 months later, it got a bit more interesting. They had 2 phones in their custody, and they got a warrant, again, signed by magistrates. Incredible. They got a warrant out to force me to give them password access to everything in my phone. Google Maps, Google Drive, Google Docs, all my business databases, so all the databases of the freedom fighters around Australia, basically a list of political dissidents in the country. And I tried to fight that. I lost like almost $80,000 Australian, which is about 40,000 pounds. I lost, and then I just thought, you know what? Whatever. I'm not giving it to you, so what do you want to do? I could have gone back to prison for 3 months because it's a breach of bail to commit another criminal offence. But I just said, just let me know so I can wear my pajamas and be more comfortable this time. So I said no, and then 3 days later they dropped the charges, just like that. So the point is, it was an intimidation tactic. Now, I can't say this works for everyone, but what I can say is standing up for yourself is always the right thing to do. Always. Again, I was lucky to have public support, but you have these decisions as well. And I think people in today's society have forgotten how amazing it feels to do the right thing. And, you know, doing the right thing is always the right thing to do. If they say, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this. If you don't do... It doesn't matter. Whatever pain comes, it doesn't matter because your integrity is worth more than anything in this world. And they can't take it away from you, or you can give it away. They cannot take it away. So that's me, right? Now, I still run my Australian organisation, but I'm doing a tour around Europe. And I already told you what my mission of the tour is, but I've done about 10 events, you know, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, France, and I write a Substack about each country. So I'm going to be promoting Hope Festival and the school and things like that. And, you know, my first Substack of France got about 10,000 views, which was really surprising to me. So it's... If you have a community group, now I'm going to Scotland, Ireland, Wales, coming back around. If you have a community group in your area and you can get 20 or 30 people together, invite me and I will come and I'll do I'll do a speech and we'll have some fun, we'll have some food, have some drinks, and I'll try to, you know, inspire people if I can, and then I'll move on to the next place. So I have business cards and stuff here, so I will give them to you, and I read all my emails myself. I'm doing it all myself, and people say, why are you doing it? Well, it just feels good. I never leave an event like this or one of those small events feeling worse than when I got there. I always feel better because I'm surrounded by amazing people, and like I told you at the beginning, there is no such thing as an original idea, and the only way that I'm going to get these ideas is by talking to people, and you get little tidbits here and there, and it's really incredible. You don't know what's going to happen until you meet with these people. So I've just written down a few things that I've learned from other people that I want to, and you know, my own research and things, but there's one saying that I've really enjoyed lately. It is, don't interfere with your enemy when they are in the process of destroying themselves. I think that's what's happening. Anyone can make a fancy website. I know, you can spend $10,000 on a fancy website and make it look like you're bigger than you are. We can do the same thing, by the way. But the globalists, I believe, they're actually in crisis mode. I don't think they're doing very well, but they're just like sticking on with this crazy lie, and they're just trying their hardest to keep it going. And then we get distracted by things, unfortunately, we're humans. You know, you've got the LGBT thing, and then you've got the bill here, and then you've got 15-minute cities, and you've got this and that, and all of those things are scary, right? but they're also just throwing everything at us and hoping that we get scared and, stop trying and things like that. But we could actually really get distracted on things as well. And there's some element of us probably having to sit back and watch the shit show unravel, unfortunately. People are going to get hurt a little bit. But if a parent is going to take their child to a drag queen story time, we can't stop them, and we probably can't help them. In Victoria, we stopped one drag queen story time and we, patted ourselves on the back, and then next week there was 10 more. So you get stuck down these rabbit holes. And so I think we need to be more proactive than reactive, and that's been really helpful for me to just, we need to walk the walk, guys. Like we love to preach. Everyone loves to preach, right? Use cash. Don't buy from these companies. Don't do this. Don't stand up for yourself here, stand up for yourself there. But in silence, we all break our own rules sometimes. So I just hope that you guys are walking the walk, and I think that hope is walking the walk. We always talk about preparing and doing homeschooling. They're actually doing it. And the reason I got inspired by this is, do you guys know Catherine Austin Fitz? She's the investment banker. Yeah. I spent 3 days in Netherlands with her. She basically mentored me. It was amazing. She always pays cash, and she has a subscription base, and 40% of all her subscribers send her cash in envelopes. Like, do you have any idea how much of an administrative nightmare that is? But she does it because she's serious. And if we all did what we believed, we'd be finished with this. It'd be over, right? So individually, we all need to take accountability, and we all need to recognize that when we are asked to say no, we have to say no. It doesn't matter how much pain you get threatened with, prison or whatever it is. But we all have to commit to it, because if there's a break in the fold, then you're going to bring us all down. And individually, we are all accountable to each other to stand up for each other. I know it's pretty serious, but she inspired me to do that. And so I have a book coming out in September 22nd about prison, which I find hilarious because they gave me such a great story. It's so hilarious. On the front page, I'm going to put compliments of Victoria Police for the great story. They're such idiots. They just give you a story and it's hilarious. But I won't be selling my book on Amazon. I won't be selling it on these big shops. You're going to have to pay extra for shipping, because and I'm going to have a mum and a daughter packing the book with love, with a handwritten note and maybe a lolly or two, who knows. We all need to do that. Because I could easily justify selling my book on Amazon. I could, and you'd probably forgive me for it. You'd probably be like, well, that's the only way. But we're never going to make a dent if we keep justifying it. And these conveniences are exactly what has been enslaving us. So if we aren't going to change the way that we do things, who the hell is, right? Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to tell you off. But so I only have a few more things to say. And on that, Catherine Austin Fitz inspired me as well, is that there's two paths we could take, okay? We could go down the tyranny path and make excuses and, take a few jabs here and there. But guess what? We've decided not to, haven't we? We've already decided, haven't we? Yeah. Who here is undecided? Exactly. We're on this path, so we may as well enjoy it, right? And not be fearful, because we've already decided. We're going to do whatever it takes. So the point is just accept that you're on this path. Now, the other thing is when other people, the people who blocked us out of cafes and demonised us and bullied us and censored us, when those people figure out what they did, it's going to be worse off for them than it ever was for us, because we had truth on our side and we were confident that we were doing the right thing. And even when we were in pain, like I said, even when we were in pain, we felt good about the pain because we knew that there was a reason for it. These people are going to need our help when they realise. So I hope that you guys will have it in your heart to forgive the people that did those terrible things. If I can forgive the police that asked me to spread my private bits when they did a strip search, if I can forgive them, which I can, then you can definitely forgive the people who did bad things to you. So please be aware of that. Just a few more points. Catherine Austin Fitz really inspired me. Because we need to recognise the evil that this is too, you know. It's the LGBT stuff, I'm not going into details. You guys already know this stuff. But the point is, don't hide away from the truths of what's going on, because the only way that we're going to be able to see things is to recognise when they're in front of us. Recognise that people are evil. Some people are evil. And yes, they would do that. Because that is human nature. And it's not okay, but we can't keep being surprised because we know. And once you get through that, sometimes it's 3 months of depression when you realise how evil people can be. Once you realise that, though, you can then start to kind of compartmentalise, the evilness from the humanity, and you can start to see the love. So just recognise that it's okay, it's terrible, but we have to recognise it to fight against it, is my point. Who here is a better, stronger person than they were before COVID? Everyone? Right. So then we could kind of say, are we thankful for COVID in a weird way? Yeah. Look at what we've created. We've become people that we never thought we would. I mean, bloody hell. Going to prison. I mean, I've paid taxes my whole life. I'm like a good girl. Well, I didn't get caught for some things when I was younger, but that's not the point. The point is like we have really found ourselves in this amazing community in the mirror. Like, we're proud of what we've done, aren't we? And yes, it was hard. So instead of being depressed about what happened, we could just accept it and be like, you know what, we're better off. And like I said, we're stronger than the people that are going to wake up later, and we're going to need to be there for them. And, people say, how do we wake up the people? To be honest, if they're not woken up now, I have no bloody idea. But what I can say is you can't preach to them at this point, because the information's already there. They're only really going to wake up by someone they respect and love anyway. They're not going to wake up by someone on the street or someone like me who they don't know. I believe all you can do is plant seeds and hope for the best, yeah? Love them through it, though. Don't preach to the point where they don't want to talk to you anymore, because then when they do wake up a little bit, they won't have the confidence to talk to you because they'll be ashamed of what they know. So you've got to keep those lines of communication open. And when there is a big crisis again, a lot more people are going to wake up. So this leads me to my last 2 points. I believe that the best way that we can push back against globalism is exactly this. But in your local community groups, 15, 20 people, you meet up once a week for a walk, for a coffee. That might seem like really stupid, right? But it's not, because before COVID happened, we weren't a community, were we? And look where we've come. So when something bad happens, that's when you're going to need to depend on each other. And we will be able to withstand the tyranny a lot better with people around us. That's why they tried to divide us. That's why they tried to stop us from seeing each other, because they know that when you have 3 or 4 or 15 people to support you, you're going to say no for a lot longer. So it may seem futile, it may seem like a waste of time, but honestly, imagine that every time you do something like this, you're directly pushing back against globalism, because I honestly believe you are. And it's like I said, it's when the crisis happens that you're going to know that it was worth it. So if you are not linked in with at least 5 people in your local area, when you go home, please start to research how to find these groups. And if you don't have them, create one. Ask me, I can help. I've got about 8,000 emails in the UK. So if you have an event, I can promote it, and maybe I can get you 3 or 4 people there. And that's all you need to start. So please, it's the most important thing. It's more important, in my opinion, than fighting these drag queen story times, or fighting this or fighting that or fighting that. It's the communities, whether it's homeschooling or gardening or whatever it is. Just create a community, please. My last point is the We Are Ready point. Now, I have here for you guys little bands to go on your arm that say We Are Ready. Now, what are we ready for? Anything. We've chosen this path. That's it. That's what we're going to do. So instead of being afraid of all these headlines like, In Australia, there's this new censorship bill coming in, and then you can self-identify as another sex without any consultation in Queensland, and you got the 15-minute cities here, and you got this. It's like, instead of being afraid of it, just be like, okay, well, just hurry up and do it. What are you waiting for? Like, they're threatening us to wear us down. But if we aren't afraid, it's going to stop working. And as a collective, if we can actually kind of antagonize them, like I imagine that we're like a little girl holding like a red blanket, and they're a bull. And this red blanket is us saying, yeah, come on, we're ready. Just hurry up. Just bring it on, right? And then the bull runs towards the red blanket, and that's when we catch them. Because I believe that we can't win, but they will lose. And because they will make mistakes, because they're bad, they're evil people, they can't win. But it's called the acceleration process. It's actually a war tactic, is to kind of give them the, I wouldn't say illusion, but let them know that we're strong, that we're ready, that we don't care what they do, that we're willing to die for it. At least some of us probably are. That we're willing to work our butts off no matter what. That will make them afraid. And it will make them act too early, and it will make them act in vain, and they will make big mistakes. People will not stand for 15-minute cities as like if they were to roll it out, like in a big way. I saw a UK guy blow up one of those bollards in broad daylight. It was hilarious. People aren't going to stand for it. CBDCs, the threat of CBDCs makes us all really scared. But guess what? The whole world has to do it at the same time to be able to exchange goods between. They can't do that. They're not going to succeed. It's a lot harder than we think. Digital ID, they're going to need mass compliance, right? And they make it sound like it's easy to do, but it's not. They're just a face, and they're in crisis mode, and they're not doing well. What if COVID was supposed to be it? What if that was supposed to, Agenda 2030 was supposed to be Agenda 2020, and they keep pushing it back because we keep pushing back too well. So I believe that we actually did a really, really, really good job. So my ploy to you is to say to yourself every day, we are ready, we are ready, we are ready. And before you know it, you'll really start to believe it. And then you see those headlines and you're just like, whatever. You can have your clown show in Parliament and stand up and believe that you're some celebrity, but you can put in a censorship bill. I don't care. I'm going to go on the corner with a big sign. Like, we're going to push through no matter what. So we may as well accept it and have fun and believe that we are ready. So are we ready? Yeah. So please come to me. I'll give you a band, a card, and I've got a sticker from Catherine Austin Fitz as well, talking about cash. One last thing about cash. Catherine told, I love Catherine. She, some people say, oh, what's the big deal about using cash? Well, she told me, and she's an investment banker, so I would like to know someone, and she took Wall Street to court for 12 years. I'd like to know someone else who would know better than her. Maybe there is someone, but I don't know them. She said the more cash that is in circulation, the harder it is for them to bring in the CBDCs and the digital currencies. So if you can imagine that every time you're paying with cash, that you're actually helping us push back against the digital ID, that's going to make you feel really good. And the last thing I want to encourage you guys, I arrived in England and I went to Tesco, and there was two very average looking women in front of me, one with a baby, one middle-aged, looking very nice, whatever. They both paid with cash. Weird. I went to the petrol station on the same day or the day after. Very average looking normal guy, paid with cash. I'm sorry, but the coincidence of that is pretty unlikely. So I believe that UK is leading the charge on cash. So keep it up. Well done. And I'm so happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
The incredibly inspirational Monica Smit.